Bloody cold today, mate. Every guitarist wants their instrument to have a massive tone. Some of you consider massive tones as a result of a great amp and cab combination. Others blend multiple guitar cabinets and multiple mics. Some think that massive tone comes from boost pedals, pickups or certain IRs. And some of you are just plain confused on how to get it. By the way, all of these methods prove valuable and do contribute to the big sonic outcome of your guitar. In this video, we will discuss one of the key ways of achieving a massive guitar tone in the mix. And that is blending multiple tones together, mixing and matching this to complement each other and expand to the final cohesive tone. This method is also a great solution if you're confused with dialing a single tone that sounds perfect in a nutshell. However, if the method is executed incorrectly, one of those tones may start cancelling another, and that doesn't help to achieve your desired sonic result, quite obviously. And similarly, if you stack up similar sounding tones, problematic frequency areas would be amplified without much of a benefit for you too. Therefore, in this video, we will learn how to properly blend multiple guitar amps to achieve a massive resulting tone. We will cover complementing tones, blending with proper phase response, and gluing these together as well. Let's roll. Obligatory before and after, level matched as well. And now after. Before. See how the tone is somewhat intact, but there is more sponginess, more attack added, just sounds fuller and curves the stereo image more. So that's what we're talking about in this video here. Hey, I'm Dr. Mike Trubetskov, the mad scientist of metal. Today I'm not looking very metal though, but it is very cold, so forgive me please. And I'm here to bring valuable information on modern metal production, recording and mixing, so mate, you like and subscribe to not miss it out. Let's go. As a first step, let's briefly look at the processing of the initial guitar track. By the way, this is The Overcoming Project, Victory, my project with musicians from Fear Factory and iMonolith, and the multitracks for this are available for you for free to practice mixing and add to your portfolio. So, if you want them, download them, link in description. Your main guitar tone may have certain characteristic. It may sound thin or boomy or harsh or too mid-rangey or too scooped, or in some instances it may also sound quite balanced. However, in my experience, any guitar tone in separation will have a certain character that becomes apparent when examining it under the sonic microscope during the mixing process. So, you may try discovering different guitar tones that complement this initial character in an opposite fashion. What do I mean by this? For a harsh and thin guitar, you may seek a warmer and thicker alternative. For a spongy and attacky guitar, you may look for a more condensed, compressed, and contained counterpart that supports it. Let's look into some examples here, shall we? Okay, let's look at the guitar tones that we're dealing with to begin with. Listening to those guitars now in separation, there are things that I notice, and I would like you to examine this with me. bypass the EQs. So this is very important to understand and examine when you are dealing with a single guitar tone. I'm using on Hammer Friedman impulse responses, and they, in my experience, are a bit hard to manage. However, they have a mid-range character and mid-range tone, which is just excellent and unique. Therefore, I wanted to keep this. However, when bypass the EQ, you can hear how boomy they are, and they have very nasty and annoying resonances at 1.5. So now without, in the mix, and now with EQs, this is significantly better and much more refined. If we quickly look at this, there is a big cut at lower mids and some cleaning of those annoying resonances, as well as taming down 3 and 4K, obviously. And same with the surgical EQ that comes afterwards, just more cleansation of those lower mids. But this is good for the initial tone. And I noticed that it sounds a little bit old school, a little bit compressed and condensed, and it lacks something. So let's see what we can do in order to complement this tone now, right? Let's come up with some layers. Now, when coming up with layers, it is obviously a good idea to understand where you're going and where you're heading in the first place. That's why I mentioned analyzing the initial tone and understanding its strong points and its weak points to complement. However, sometimes we get creative and we get artistic and we just try things that we seem to like, and that's okay too. I am guilty of that myself. You can always get into the creative zone and then you just stop and examine. So let's do that. I'm just going to slap some plugins, I've not done this yet, and see how they react to this DI. First is Ampknob. How would that sound? I don't know. You know, some producers suggest that things may not sound great in isolation, but when blended they sound good. I'm not one of those. I feel like if things do not sound satisfying and exciting in isolation, they would sound like crap blended as well. This is completely my thing, you may disagree, but I feel like this isn't suitable. It is too similar to what we have as the original tone. See how much compression my tone already has? It is really distorted, high gain and very condensed, and this one here behaves similarly, and I don't find those mids enjoyable, so I just skip Ampknob. It's not for this. Let's try something else, so maybe Clairvoyant would help us. This is better. This is better. It has more attack. It is the tone is more precise, it is more dynamic in a way, but the dynamic is really controlled in the upper mids. It contains more attack, so I feel like this will work better. Is a compliment. Sounds more modern to me too. Let's carve it with an EQ as well. I don't mind it at all. There is a resonance which I want to clean, and that'll be good. This one here. Okay. This is decent, so we can drop that on the second track, and we got one layer going. All right? Now see, I add that, and the main tone kind of disappears. That's because of the phase shift, which we'll address next. And for the second layer, I would like to try the infamous technique by Buster, which I'm just blown away by. Amazing mix engineer, probably best in the game. One of the ways he approaches adding more attack in the modern way is using a sense amp. So I try to combine it with this pedal here. That's better. So the desired result is happening in the heavier part, but not at the initial part, because it needs to be compressed. Let's do it. To color this tone, let's grab a different impulse response. Maybe also Buster's impulse response, because that gives good tones. This is good. Probably this one here. And this is a completely different sound. It's really thin and attacky and spongy and a bit more modern, which probably is a desired result. You may like the tones that you dialed in individually, only to find that one cancels another when blended together. This is clearly due to the phase shift between the signals and the physics in which way they interact. There is no arbitrary rule as of how much phase is being shifted, because plugins may introduce some latency in a different way. All the different IRs that I have different phase shifts due to the distance between the captured mic and the cab, and the signal chain, the EQ that introduces phase shift, etc. Amp sims would have the same problem due to the embedded IRs, and I also find that different IR libraries differ vastly in phase response, and you have to take that into account and correct it. So, let's look into a very simple way to correct phase for your different guitar options. I also covered this in a previous video in full detail, so please check it out. Now, if we do combine these three, these are the originals. When I blend the Clairvoyant ones, I can hear that it is immediately out of phase. And then if we blend the attack ones, immediately even worse, it is phasey and you can hear how bad it sounds. To fix this up, grab your initial track, bend into the center, and then one of the tracks that you are about to fix, in this instance the attack one, also pan to center. Completely out of phase. Grab precision, time, align, and now flip the phase, and then move the slider until the sound disappears the most. So here. Invert the phase back. So this is significantly better. Do the same thing with the Clairvoyant. See how the mids go back when you bypass the plugin? Once your guitar tones are blended nicely, you'd probably like to polish them up and fit into the mix. This is where guitar bus processing comes in handy. So let's look into it. So the final step is to obviously put them all together and make them blend and work in a cohesive element on the guitar bus. So here is my guitar bus. And it sounds quite good already, but the low mids are sticking out a little bit. On the guitar bus, currently, I only have an EQ to clean up some of the 2K, 1.7, once again, because once you stack these layers, they add up, and the problematic areas that have been cleaning back may have returned. So you gotta take control of that. But I can hear... better too. So cleaning this up a little bit. Then there is a multiband compression. Just for chugs. And then some Electra EQ. Same deal, cutting some lower mids and bringing the forwardness back, and some saturation. To amplify the tone. However, one key thing is missing, and that is compression. And I used to be very much against compressing guitars because they're already so compressed. But then I realized that some of the frequencies are still very dynamic. In this instance, lower mids just move and jump, not in a pleasing way. You don't want that specific dynamics to be ruining your mix. And so therefore, here is the trick that I recommend you to try for compressing such guitars. Great compressor Bakush Audio, default settings. Alright, you get the gist. Hope that this is helpful and hope that you like this result. Let me know in comments what you think as well. Cheers! So this is it for blending multiple guitar tones in order to achieve a massive sounding final result. I hope that these techniques prove useful and you may achieve something very cool in your next production. I am always here to help. Hit me up in comments. Please like, subscribe and share this video with your friends so that more information is available to make great heavy music. Until next time, cheers and rock on!